Yes, you're laboring under the delusion that somehow the words that I will use will improve upon the silence. I can assure you that they will not. That instead they will tend to muddy the waters, obfuscate the issue, stir things up. But this is what you created as the coin of the realm in the dream world that you're dreaming. Words. And they're dualistic. And we're talking about something non-dual. Contradiction in terms. So before we even begin to go down that rabbit hole, we have to all agree that we can't really talk about any of this. It's impossible. The moment you open your mouth is the same moment that you're talking dualistically. The whole thing falls apart. So let's all agree we can't really talk about it, and that creates space for us to then, in turn, start talking about it. Paradoxical, yes, I know. A couple things. I want you to know that I'm not trying to talk you into anything. I'm not trying to convince you and persuade you about, hey, let's trade in my beliefs for what I think are Chuck's beliefs. I do not have a dog in the fight. I'm not interested in whether you like what I'm saying, whether you agree with what I'm saying, whether you disagree with it, vehemently opposed, argue with it, debate, fine. I do not give a rat's ass. Frankly. Whatever you want to believe, whatever you don't want to believe, that's fine. I'm talking and presenting what amounts to a buffet. Pick and choose what you want of this. You don't have to take the whole thing. You can say, well, this kind of works for me. This, maybe not so much. It's all right. No skin in the game here. Do what you want. But it may be helpful to just sit in the middle of what I'm saying as a possibility and to accept it as a form of non-resisting. Just kind of be with it. Just be, not that you have to do something with it, just kind of be with what I'm pointing at. And if you have the courage to be with it, then be with it and turn around and look back into your life from that position and see if any insights possibly would show up as a result of your non-resistance to what I'm pointing at. So I'm not trying to talk you into anything at all. If you believe me, that's okay, and if not, that's equally okay too. But I know a couple of things about you already. I know that this is not your first non-dual rodeo. Coming here to Science and Non-Duality is expensive. Takes a chunk of change. And if you're staying here at this hotel, that's expensive too. So the registration, the hotel, the food, the transportation to get you here, to get you home, it all mounts up. You're not going to invest that kind of money unless you think there's going to be some kind of payoff here. You want something for your money. And you want to find out if there's some juice in this room. And you go from presenter to presenter. saying, well, maybe this guy's got it, maybe this woman's got it. And you scribble down little notes, little gems that they say or that you are inspired to write. Take those with you. Gosh, I got that. Because you know, when you go home, your friends are going to say, you went to Science and Non-Duality. What did you learn? What did you discover about yourself? And you better have an answer. You better be able to justify springing, $1,000 or $1,500. What'd you get in return for that? Give me the juice. Something that you can share with your friends over coffee and cocktails and wine and cheese. Hey, I got what I came for. Look at this. And you're going to take that information and you're going to store it in your biocomputer and you're going to put it in the section that you have in your library in your biocomputer, Eastern philosophy, and that one little shelf for non-dualism. Now I got this stuff. Good for me. And you've been doing this a long time. You ain't new to this. You probably were raised like a Catholic or a Protestant, Jew, something like that. And someplace along the line, you became disenchanted. Something happened. You got interested in and drawn to Eastern philosophy, and then, it's a subset, non-dual. Oh, that sounds interesting. You wanted to go there. And you've probably read all the old classics. The Upanishads, the Bhagavad Gita, the Srimad Bhagavatam, Shankara's crest jewel of discrimination, Dhammapada, the Tao Te Ching. Maybe you've read the Quran, the Bible. I don't know. But you've paid your dues. You've read the literature. And you've read I Am That, and you've read Who Am I, and all the more recent spiritual luminaries. You know who I'm talking about. And you've gone to workshops and gatherings and lectures and seminars and satsangs, and you've sat at the feet of people that you've known and connected with and resonated with at some level. And you got something. You got an insight. You got an awareness, a aha moment. And you want some more of that. You want to go back. I want some more of that. There was something that changed my life, at least for an hour a day a week. And I want to go back and revisit that. So maybe you've gone to India. Stayed at some ashram for days, weeks, months, years. Looking for that rekindling of it. I want more of this, whatever this is. You probably smoked a lot of pot, hash. You dropped acid, shrooms, MDMA. Maybe you went to visit Mother Aya. Ayahuasca, gone to some shamans, had an experience. Wow, it's been so amazing, enlightening. And then what happens a couple days later? Not so much. Maybe you wanted the fast track. Maybe you wanted something psychedelic for 20 minutes. Did NMDMT. Or maybe you wanted to I want to experience egolessness. I want to have the void. And you went 5-MeO-DMT. And after all of that, and after all the drugs, and all the meditation, and all the chanting, and you went to, maybe you became a vegan or a vegetarian. You studied yoga. All of the different strategies that you have used over the years to try to figure out, how do I get there? Because you know one thing, you're not there. That's a story you're telling yourself. Now I want to tell you something. I'm not going to give you any new content, damn it. You want content, go to some other presenter out there. They'll give you stuff that you can hang on to, cling to, write about, think about, dwell in. I'm not interested in giving you new stuff. I guarantee you there's nothing I'm going to tell you right now that you don't know already about yourself. I'm just reminding you. Look, we're in kind of a co-conspiracy. You made me the presenter, which means you're volunteering to be the listener. So we're in this co-conspiracy. But you could be up here too. There's nothing I know or you think that I know that you don't already know too. Nothing. No thing. Nothing. I am a reminder for you. You appoint these different people to remind you. They tug at your sleeve and go, hey, don't forget about this. And you think about it and you go back. But in spite of what happens here, in this room, or any place here in sand, you know that in the not too distant future, if we're talking in a future, a linearity kind of thing, you're going to go back to your mundane, secular lives. And you're still going to have your damn mortgage. And you're still going to have your car payments. And your aches and pains, your arthritis. You're going to have your issues with your family and your kids. Your boss. What should we do about Nana? Should we put her in a home? All the everyday concerns in the world. You're going to have all that again. Nothing's going to be left out. It's waiting for you. So I have no good news to just erase all of that. The only thing I can suggest as a possibility, remember, I don't want you to believe me. Do not believe anything I tell you. I mean that. Do not believe what I say is true. 3 words. Just go look. Look for yourself. If it's not true for you, it's just bullshit. You're just accepting it on somebody else's point of view. Yeah, okay. Let's try that one on for size. Oh. I'm more interested in seeing if you're willing to shift the context of how you hold the content of your life. What's the difference? Well, the water in here is content. I can take this water and pour it in a different shaped vessel. Maybe the vessel is painted blue. Pour it in there. All of a sudden I got a vessel like that. Looks blue. Same content, different context. And you know by now that when you change how you're looking at things, the things that you're looking at will begin to change. But who are you? Who do you think I am? It's not important who you think I am. It's only important who you think you are. So who are you? I'm sure you have a story. Lots of stories. I could ask any of you, where were you born? And chances are you'd be able to tell me. And you not only do that, you'd tell me the names of your parents, your siblings, the schools you went to, your friends, your bullies, your enemies. You'd be able to describe all the adventures and misadventures you had in grade school, on into high school. All of that stuff, you'd be able to tell me all of those things. Failed this test, passed this test, went out, got drunk, I got laid, had this and that. Maybe you went to college. More stuff, more stories. And then I got out of college, and then I got a job, and then I got married, and then I got a kid, and then I got divorced. On, and decades worth. And you could write out the story of your life in teeny tiny little writing and fill up every wall in this place. And have more stories to tell. And you drag these stories with you through life as if that's who you are. I am these stories. You meet somebody new, Well, tell me about yourself. Well, I live here, I work there, and we do this. We connect. But the heart knows there's only one of us here. One of us. I know you think it's a dialogue going on. It's not a dialogue. It is never a dialogue. It's always a monologue. Because there's one voice, and it's coming out of seemingly different mouths. One voice. That's a tough one to swallow, literally. Non-dual. It's not something rare. It's everywhere. Look at organized religions. Look at spiritual philosophies. Every single spiritual philosophy, every single organized religion has as its core, in its core, a non-dual component. You dig down and scrape aside all the rituals and dogmas and beliefs and all that stuff. There is a non-dual component in all of that stuff. And non-dualism really has two different parts. One, any kind of separation that you see or believe in or experience, it's an illusion. All separation is illusory. No exceptions. Point two, instead of it being a separate thing, everything is quintessentially, I love that word, it means the essence of the essence, quintessentially only one. One, not two. That's what Advaita means, not two, it's only one. Can you live into that space? Can you be in that space comfortably? Because you make a difference between who you think you are and who you think you are not. Think you're your body. Isn't that interesting that the outline of who you think you are and the inline of who you think you are not is really the same? You know, skin. But if everything is consciousness, if that's what your nature is, consciousness has no boundaries, and it has no edges, and it has no moving parts, and yet you look out into the world from this point of view that you have glommed onto as an ego, looking out into this world, this dream world that you've created, and you go, oh, I'm different than all that. I'm separate. So your mission is, how do I get reconnected with a place that I never really left? Kind of silly. See, consciousness has no levels and has no moving parts because it's indivisible. Indivisible. So then the problem becomes, how do we describe this oneness, this quintessential oneness, in the face of looking out and seeing this multitudinous universe, the one that you're creating? Now, before we go any further, I want you to know something, and I mean this very carefully, and I need you to pay attention. Even though I'm not looking at you, if you are hearing my voice, even though I'm not looking at you, if you're hearing my voice, I am talking directly and only to you. I know you think you're sitting in a room with all these other people. That's a story you're telling yourself. As long as there are other people, as long as there's somebody else out there, then I'm over here. You, quote, need these other people in order to keep separate. But consider the possibility that Nisargadatta, Ramana, those weren't real people. I know you want to think that they were real people. I want to tell you they were not real people. Because you're not a real person either. They weren't, and you're not. They weren't real people. You're not a real person. But you make them real so that you can convince yourself, well, I have reality too. Consider that maybe all of the great spiritual teachers, as well as all of their great spiritual teachings, have arisen from within the heart of hearts of who you are. They arise and they disappear from within you. You don't have to run to find out who wrote the Upanishads, or the Gita, or the Quran, or the Torah. You wrote them. You wrote them. I know you're not ready to take responsibility for that. You want to say, oh, no, they couldn't possibly, I don't remember doing that. You want to argue for your limitations. Consider it as, just sit in the middle of that you are the one that's creating absolutely, no exceptions, absolutely everything that you're seeing, hearing, feeling, touching, tasting, smelling. Whatever you're experiencing right now has its origin within the heart of who you are. You're having a dream, Nisargadatta says. It says you're having a dream that you call the world. The dream, Nisargadatta says, is not your problem. It's not your problem. Your problem is that you only like some parts of your dream, but you don't like the other parts. And in the friction that goes on between those two binary kinds of energies, that friction, therein lies the drama, the psychodrama that you call your world. Between yes and no, the resistance. This is how it is. This is how I want it to be. You are playing. And I want you to know that you're playing and remember it. And you remind yourself that you're playing from time to time. And then you'll forget it. Your essence is to be what you are and then to pretend to forget all that stuff. You are what is. You are what is. That is your core. That's your heart. And every moment you create this. What? You create this. You're creating all this now. And you're destroying it. This is how you animate your dream world. You create the entire thing, and then simultaneously, you destroy it all. Create it as Brahman, destroy it as Shiva. Brahman, Shiva. Simultaneously, a trillion times every nanosecond, you do this. And every time you create it a little bit differently, that's what animates it. But wait, there's more. The third member of this little triumvirate is the witness. Who's the witness? You are the witness. Witnessing what? Witnessing the creation and the destruction that goes on simultaneously. You are the witnessing. You are the one that's witnessing all of this. And in the witnessing of it, you create it. You create what you see. Rumi said, "Why do you weep? Don't you know that you are the source? And this whole world is rising up from you. From you. I know there's a part of you that may want to step back. And probably we've already passed that part of you that is beginning to wiggle and squirm, going, oh, this can't possibly be true. I see where he's going with this. This is all bullshit. No, I can't. But remember, just consider it as possibility. Not saying it's true, not saying it's not true. Think of it as a possibility. Buddha said, with your thoughts, Buddha said, with your thoughts, you create the world. It's an important distinction here because he didn't say, with your thoughts, you create your world. He didn't say that. He said, you're creating the world. This world rises up from you. At night when you go to sleep, consider that possibly you just collapse this dream world that you're dreaming into the singularity in your heart. And in dreamless sleep, not when you're dreaming. When you're dreaming, you're just creating more of it, different shape. But in dreamless sleep, it's gone. And then in the morning, you wake up, you recreate the whole thing again. Play with it a while. Get caught on the web of your own entanglements, your attachments. Which is fun. You know, you can get attached. There's nothing wrong with getting attached. But there's always the danger of being entangled. What would happen if you were non-attached? Non-attached. If you're non-attached to all of this that you are creating, then you are in it, but you're not of it. So if you feel like saving the whales, saving the environment, championing some kind of cause, you throw yourself into it, 1,000%. Don't hold anything back. Participate. Get involved. But don't be attached to the results of the efforts that you're making. All possible outcomes to your efforts, they have to be equally acceptable. You don't know how it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be just the way that it is. And I can assure you that things always work out. But if you give up your idea, your beliefs about what working out should look like. You have no idea. What would happen if you just aligned yourself with what is? What would that be like if you lived your life and had as your default position in life, yes? Not yes, okay. Like you're I'm just going to cope with it, just tolerate it, just put up with it. No, an enthusiastic yes to how things are. Yes to the wonderful, comfortable stuff. Yes to the chaos. But Chuck, what should I do if I see somebody getting hurt? Go ahead, take action. Fine. I'm not saying don't take action. You say yes to the fact that, hey, you're saying no. So you'll do something about it, see if it works. This is your dream. Everyone in this room, everything in this room is something that emanates from within you. Now I know you think that there's some consciousness other places. That there's some consciousness out there in the hall. You know, and out there in the patio. And out there in town, and in New York, and on the other side of the universe, there's consciousness out there too. We're just one small part of consciousness. I want you to consider that maybe know that you are always experiencing 100% of consciousness 100% of the time. That nothing is ever being left out. Nothing is ever missing. 100%. This is it. Not some of it. This is it. To sit in that, to realize that what you are experiencing with this limited scope, with your eyes going out there, that's it. Can you be at peace with that? Actually, it's probably the only time you can be at peace. You align yourself with what is. You ride the horse, as Werner Erhard used to say, in the direction that the horse is going. It's an alignment. You make a connection between what is with this whole and what you say should be, and you make them the same. Concentric. There's an alignment. And in that alignment, there is peace. No more fighting, arguing. You just say yes to how things are. And you say yes to how you are. Everything that you think, feel, say, and do is just fine. I know you think it isn't. I know you're hard on yourself. And you're hard on other people. They shouldn't be doing that. They shouldn't be thinking that. It's all ego-based. What would happen if you said people are just the way that they are and that's okay? But you want to stratify things. You stratify things by having this idea that somehow you're on a hierarchy, a spiritual ladder. And this ladder is right here, and it goes way down and it goes way up. And you're hanging on to these rungs, and you've climbed up a couple of these rungs in your lifetime. And you look down there and you see there's your friends and there's your family, and then maybe further on down there's Donald Trump and there's, Hitler and Stalin, and way down, all these way down there. They're on the ladder. They're trying to come up too, but they're coming up, but you're kind of way up here because you've done the work. And then up here you see people like, there's Adyashanti, and there's Rupert Spira, and there's Deepak Chopra, and some of these other spiritual luminaries that we all know. And beyond them, you see Nisargadatta, and you see Ramana Maharshi. Wow, they're way up there on the ladder, but they're way up there. And then further on up, you see there's Christ, and there's Buddha. And then further on up there, you see a golden white light. And we're all climbing up there. I mean, that's really the model. But somehow, where you're at, wherever it is on the ladder, is not as okay as up there. Up there, that's where it's at. And you're sure of that because you say, I know what an enlightened person looks like. And that person doesn't look anything like me. That person doesn't have the thoughts that I have. My thoughts are angry. My thoughts are vicious. My thoughts are filled with revenge. An enlightened person wouldn't have the feelings that I have. I'm small and petty. No, I mean, they just wouldn't have that. Buddha wouldn't have those feelings. He wouldn't say the words that I do. I tell dirty stories. I gossip. And my actions are some of them are despicable. A lot of them are good. Some are despicable. Buddha wouldn't do that. I want you to consider that maybe you are looking at life through Buddha's eyes. Your thoughts are Buddha's thoughts. Your feelings are Buddha's feelings. Ramana Maharshi said, The greatest obstacle to enlightenment is getting past your delusion that you're not already enlightened. You gotta get past that. It's hard to accept and embrace and be with your own divinity. You take a step back from that. You're not willing to own it. And yet that's what the invitation is. Own your own divinity. Now look, when you leave here, I don't want you to think, oh God, he says I'm a divine being. You're not a divine being. Stop it. What you are is, you are the divine being. Got the difference? The divine being. You're not a divine being. You're not saying, I'm God. No. All there is God. Ain't nothing else. There's no such thing as not God. No such thing as not consciousness. It's all consciousness. Are you having fun with it? Anybody have any questions, feedback? Meanwhile, let me just check to see what. I see somebody. Yes. I think they're going to bring you a.
I am divine being. So what I do about the mortgage payment and the car payment?
What do you want to do? Why are you asking me? This is your dream. What are you going to do?
I'm going to go home and make my mortgage payment on time and my car payment on time.
Sounds like a plan. More hands, yes.
So hearing you, or I guess hearing me, there's an opportunity here to accept freedom. And I was thinking a while ago about what it is to be human. And part of that is we say yes, I say yes, I say no. Part of being an angel is just saying yes. And if I accept you and your words as me and my words, I see only one of us here. And I want to say, I love you.
I love you too. We're swimming in love. That's our nature. It's really the essence of everything. Love. In fact, consciousness has one thought. It does have a thought. Consciousness has one thought, and that thought is, I am. And consciousness has one feeling, and that's unconditional love. Okay, go ahead.
When you say all of this is a dream, I feel like you're denying reality.
Mm-hmm. What's reality?
It is. I get that it's all perception. It's a projection of whatever's going on here and here, really. But I've always had a hard time. I know a lot of people have a hard time when that word dream is used. Sure. It seems so ephemeral and so unreal.
Unreal, yeah.
So it almost denies the fundamental nature of things. And I always get confused when I come to sand because there's guys on stage saying, it's real. And then I come here and you're like, it's a dream. And I get so confused. And it's great because I get shaken up.
That's great. Thanks for that. So
what do you
here's
think
my
about all that?
definition of reality. Reality is that which persists unchanged in all states. In the waking state, the dream state, and the dreamless sleep state. Whatever doesn't change, that's real. If it changes, if it mutates, if it transforms, if it, anything at all, any kind of change at all, it's an illusion. Doesn't mean it doesn't exist. I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I mean, you go to a movie, and there's a movie, and you see all these characters moving around, you get all kinds of excited and emotional and stuff. Yeah, but those people, they could have died 50 years ago. If that movie exists, it's not real. There's one dream, and there's one dreamer. I know you want to think all these people are having different dreams. No, I want you to own this. This is tough. This is the tough one. You got to just take 100% responsibility for everything. No, I can't be doing all this. I don't know. Don't believe me. Just go look. I know it's your dream. Look, in your distant and dusty past, think back to any memory that you have back when you were a kid. Okay? Any memory at all. There you are, learning to ride a bike for the first time. There you are, your first day of school. There you are having a date. Anything at all. Just remember some scene where you remember. The question is, wasn't there always a you in every single scene that showed up? You're never not there. Get it? You're never not there. You're always there. First person singular. You're there. You're experiencing that. Every single thing you ever remember, you have a point of view. Of course it's your dream. Yes, sir.
I'd like a better dream, please.
Thanks for sharing.
Hi, Chuck. Thank you. So there is so much freedom in taking 100% responsibility and having the ability to dream whatever. And one of the beauties that I cherish about being non-dual or being the non-dual state is the emptiness. And then coming into make-believe with infinite freedom also puts so much, makes deciding really difficult. And while there's a part of me that understands that the world we live in is, and like you said, we have choice to engage in it however we want.
There is no we.
Okay, I can engage.
Yeah, there's no we, there's no our, there's no us, there's no them. There's only, you have to own it. So all this is about you, right?
It is about me. I can engage in the world how I want.
Do you want to?
I do, and then sometimes I just want to sit around and watch Netflix. and that is...
Is that okay? Or do you judge yourself about that?
I do judge myself about that, and it's hard.
You want to do anything about the judging? Want to stop that anytime soon? Or? I mean, I'd be the last person in the world to deprive you of your right to judge yourself. But the invitation is there if you want to stop judging yourself.
I don't know if I do, because the awareness, it's a gradient between having self-awareness, discernment, and then judgment and self-criticism. And I know that I get enjoyment and I receive joy and love from helping others and engaging positively in the world. But at times it's also really difficult, especially with the stress in today's world. And
Save the world?
yeah, it's kind of save the world kind of thing like that. And I guess my question for advice is how to balance that. idea of everything is and always will be okay versus I have 100% responsibility.
Yeah, being responsible doesn't mean you can control it. Doesn't mean there's any fault or blame to go around. It's just that you are the source of this. And if you feel inspired to do something about it, go ahead and do it. It may or may not work out the way that you want, but if that's what inspires you, get involved, participate. Get out there. It's like going to Disneyland and just sitting on the park bench, when all these rides are there. No, get in there and throw yourself into all of this dream world that you created. Get out and shake your cosmic booty. Go have fun with it. Really, I'm serious. Throw yourself into it. It's you created all of this stuff just for you. All of this is for you. I want you to become an appreciative audience to your own stuff, including your psychodramas. Appreciate all this stuff.
Why did I create all this?
Why are you asking me? It's your dream. You created this. Why you? Doesn't make any sense to ask me. You created me too. Everybody here has their origin within you. It's a tough one. Because you create all the heroes and all the villains. But it's a funny thing about heroes and villains. An author loves his villains every bit as much as he loves his heroes. Why? Because the villains give the heroes a chance to act heroically. Isn't that right? We like our dramas. We like our psychodramas.
Thank you.
By the way, when we're finished here at 5 o'clock, I'm supposed to do some kind of book signing for the books that I have over there. Books, by the way, that you wrote, but I'm going to get the credit for.
So getting back to the question about going to work and paying the bills and so forth.
Sure.
I realize that when I go to work, I enter what I'll call work mode. It's almost like a persona that takes over. I believe I'm the character who's working, yet when it's done and I'm relaxing, it occurs to me, I don't even know how I did that. It was like the work got done by itself. I was there, I saw it happening, but I don't feel like I did it. It just got done automatically.
Yeah. That's kind of how it works. It's almost like it being in a play. There you are in a play, and there's two actors, and one actor totally knows that he's just an actor in the play. So he goes through all the stuff that the role does, that he's taking. He's taking a part of a character, a role. He goes into it, weeps and wails, gnashes his teeth. Whatever the character requires, he does it. And then when the play is over, he goes out and has a beer with the villains and everybody else. However, the other actor gets so involved with the play that he believes that he is that character, that he is the role that he's playing. Well, he's going to have a very different experience because whatever happens to the character, the role, he believes is happening to him. At the end of the play, the guy playing Hamlet, he doesn't get punished. But if he thinks he is Hamlet, see what I mean? Don't get attached to your role. You are not your role. You're playing a role.
To pick up and maybe to interpret, I think what you're saying is one of the greatest, I think, attempts to describe all this is called the divine comedy, which reminds me of an old saying is God has written a comedy whose audience is afraid to laugh. That's us. So you just brought up plays. So I kind of go over the experience that sometimes, like a small kid, I keep on chuckling, laughing. It's all funny anyway. And yet, I think partly why I came here is kind of like, I don't know who makes the decision. I think consciously I don't. In my case, I don't have mortgages, but I always say, once the event is over, I go back, and most of us would agree, we go back to so-called reality, some of the frequency. Somehow we go back to what you call the drama. And it's our decision. Do we look at it as a comedy or as a drama? That's basically it.
Somebody once said, life it's like a comedy that's written by a tragedy writer or a tragedy written by a comedy writer. A little bit of both. But we want that. We like this stuff. We like to mix it up. We like the emotionality of it. We're drawn to it. We think that we aren't. But yet, remember, you're not even here. You're not doing this. Consciousness is doing this. Consciousness thinks, and you seem to have the thoughts. Consciousness feels, and you seem to have the feelings. Consciousness is speaking. Consciousness is acting. You're just in there taking credit for it as this ego. What's the ego? Ego is a bundle of thoughts, loosely gathered around an ever-changing point of view that has, in effect, fallen in love with itself. It's like software that likes to pretend that it's hardware. It likes to say, I am the thinker of the thoughts. I am the feeler of the feelings. I am the speaker of the words. I am the doer of the action. No, consciousness is doing it all. Only consciousness is here. The nature of consciousness is to pretend that it's multitudinous, many parts, and you are the number one part that consciousness is pretending to be. Pretty amazing, huh? Anybody else?
Consciousness put this story in my head about a spiritual ladder, and I really liked that. And I came to sand so I could go up another rung.
Sure.
So,
how's that going for you?
well, I thought I was doing pretty well till I came here, and you told me. So now, yeah, I bought into the ladder, and I feel pretty good about the
Sure,
quote unquote all the rungs I've scrambled up.
Very seductive, very attractive. Wow, it's spiritual one-upsmanship. I've done this. I've done to the satsang. I've read these books. I'm a little bit more so, than this person down here who hasn't done all that stuff. I have these insights, these awakenings. So obviously, I'm a little bit better.
So now what?
It's only one. You're fine the way that you are. I mean, I really want you to get that. You're absolutely perfect the way you are. In all of your craziness and all of your thoughts and feelings and aches and pains and pettiness and all that crap, you're just fine. Align yourself with that. Doesn't mean you can't change. Well, you can try to change, see what happens. Maybe it'll transform something else. Maybe it won't. It's all an illusion anyway. You are what is. Doesn't get better than that, guys. You are what is. I think we've run out of time. Thank you.